They laughed in my face when I asked for a small loan, calling me useless, broke, and a burden. What my family didn't know was that I was already sitting on millions from a lottery win that I had kept hidden. That night, as they mocked me over dinner, my sister whispered, "If Serafina can't even afford rent, how could she ever survive in this world?" My father chuckled, nodding, while I sat there in silence, burning every word into my memory. Before I take you deeper into this shocking story, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and share this video, because what happens next will leave you speechless. I kept my calm, acting as if their words didn't cut me to pieces, but inside, I was smiling. They thought they were clever, but this was exactly the loyalty test I had planned all along. Instead of supporting me when I asked for help, they revealed their true faces, mocking, greedy, and heartless. Little did they know that every cruel laugh, every insult, was only pushing me closer to revealing the secret that would destroy their arrogance forever. The days that followed only made their greed clearer. My mother began parading my sister around, telling neighbors how successful she was, while slipping hints that I was the failure child. They had no idea that behind my quiet smile, I was holding the winning ticket that had already been cashed into a fortune sitting safely in my account. One evening, I overheard my parents whispering in the kitchen. My father's voice was sharp. "If Serafina can't pay her own rent, she doesn't deserve anything. We'll transfer whatever's left of the house in your sister's name. At least she'll put it to good use." My chest tightened, but not from pain. This time it was rage mixed with satisfaction. They were already dividing things I had worked for, mocking me as if I were powerless. Yet, in reality, I could buy 10 of those houses without blinking. I watched them carefully, memorizing every cruel smirk, every dismissive glance. They thought I was trapped, but the truth was, I was building the perfect moment to expose them. Because winning the lottery wasn't just about money, it was about freedom. Freedom to finally show them what happens when the person you underestimate the sigh most holds all the power. The silence I kept wasn't weakness, it was strategy. And soon, they were going to learn that the game they thought they were winning had already been lost the day they chose greed over loyalty. It didn't take long before their arrogance grew unbearable. My sister started acting like the queen of the family, throwing little parties in the house and bragging about how responsible she was compared to me. She would roll her eyes every time I entered the room, muttering under her breath, "Some people are just born useless." One night during dinner, she crossed a line. She slammed her glass on the table and sneered, "Why don't you just move out, Serafina? Clearly you can't handle life. Let Mom and Dad give this place to someone who actually deserves it." My parents didn't argue. In fact, they nodded, silently agreeing with her. I sat there, staring at my plate, letting their words echo in my mind. Every insult, every dismissal, it was all fuel. They thought I was cornered, dependent, and desperate. But in reality, I was the one holding the key to their future. Because the truth was, the fortune I had won wasn't just sitting idle. I had already begun investing, buying properties under my name, securing businesses, and building an empire they couldn't even dream of. While they laughed at my failure, I was silently becoming untouchable. Their greed blinded them so much that they couldn't see the storm I was preparing. And that was the beauty of it. By the time I revealed my truth, their downfall would be so complete, so devastating, that no amount of begging would save them. That night, as they laughed and toasted to my sister's success, I raised my glass too, but not for her. I was toasting silently to the day I would finally show them that the one they tried to break was the one who could shatter their world in a single move. A week later, my parents called a family meeting. I already knew what was coming, but I played along, sitting quietly at the table while they pretended this was some noble decision. My father cleared his throat, his tone heavy with false authority. "Serafina, we've decided it's best if you move out. You're not contributing, and frankly, you're holding us back. From now on, this house will belong to your sister. She'll take care of it responsibly," my mother added with a condescending smile. "Don't take it personally, dear. We're just doing what's best for the family. You can always rent a small place somewhere. Maybe finally learn to be independent." The room erupted in nods and smirks as if they had just solved some great problem. My sister leaned back smugly, twirling the house keys in her hand as though she'd already won. But what none of them knew was that every word, every sneer, every fake smile was being recorded on the hidden camera I had planted days earlier. Their betrayal, their greed, their cruelty, it was all captured. Evidence of exactly who they were when they thought no one was watching. Inside, my blood boiled, but my face stayed calm. I wasn't going to fight back with words. I wasn't going to argue or beg. No. My revenge was going to be silent, calculated, and unstoppable. Because when the time came, they weren't just going to lose the house. They were going to lose everything they thought made them powerful. And the best part? They were handing me the perfect stage to make it happen. The very next morning, I packed a small bag and left without a word. My family smirked, believing they had finally won. They thought they had pushed me out, humiliated me, and secured the house for themselves. What they didn't know was that their little victory was about to collapse in the most spectacular way. A week later, I invited them all to a grand dinner at a luxury hotel. They showed up dressed in their finest, confused but curious. My sister whispered smugly, "She must be begging for forgiveness already." When they walked into the private dining hall, their jaws dropped. The room sparkled with chandeliers. Waiters in black suits lined the walls, and at the center stood me, dressed in an elegant gown, a calm smile on my face. I raised a glass and said, "Welcome, family. Tonight I wanted to celebrate not just my new life, but also the truth." A projector lit up behind me, and suddenly their voices filled the room. The secret recordings played loud and clear. My father's harsh words, my mother's fake sympathy, my sister's venomous insults. Every laugh, every sneer, every betrayal, it was all there, echoing in front of strangers and staff who watched in stunned silence. Their faces turned pale, eyes darting in shame. But I wasn't finished. With a calm voice, I continued. "You pushed me out, mocked me, called me useless. What you didn't know is that the day you chose greed over loyalty was the day you lost me forever. Because while you were plotting to take away a house," I paused, sliding a folder across the table. "I was busy buying 10 more. Inside were property deeds, business contracts, and proof of the millions I had built since my lottery win." My sister's hand trembled as she tried to speak, but no words came. My father sank into his chair, stunned, while my mother looked as though the ground had disappeared beneath her feet. I leaned forward, my smile sharper than ever. "This dinner isn't for reconciliation. It's a farewell. Enjoy the house you stole, because soon you'll realize it's the only thing you'll ever have. I won't be there to save you anymore." With that, I stood up, leaving them speechless, their empire of greed crumbling under the weight of my silence and success. That night, as I walked out of the hotel into the cool night air, I finally felt free. Not because of the money, but because I had proven the truth. Sometimes, the sweetest revenge is simply showing the ones who doubted you that you never needed them in the first place. As I turned to leave that night, I could hear my sister's voice trembling behind me. "Wait, Serafina, we didn't mean it like that. We were just trying to help you." But the room was already heavy with silence and shame. No one believed her excuses, not even my parents, who sat frozen, their once confident faces now pale with regret. The same family that had mocked me was now too afraid to even look me in the eyes. I stopped at the doorway and turned one last time. Do you know what hurt me the most? I asked quietly, my voice steady. Not that you wanted my house, not that you called me useless, but that you were willing to throw me away without a second thought. I was your daughter. I was your sister. And to you, I was nothing. My mother's lips trembled, but no words came. My father clenched his fists, staring at the floor, unable to face me. My sister's eyes were already filled with tears, but it was too late. I took a deep breath and continued. You thought I had nothing, but the truth is, I never needed you to believe in me. I believed in myself. And that's why I'm standing here today, while all of you are drowning in your own greed. The hall remained dead silent. Even the waiters stopped moving, their eyes locked on me as though they were witnessing justice itself unfold. I placed the final envelope on the table. Inside this, I said, are documents officially cutting all financial ties between us. Not a single penny of my wealth will ever reach you. You wanted to see me fail, so now you'll have to live with the fact that my success is something you'll never touch. Their faces dropped further, the reality hitting them harder than any insult ever could. For once, they weren't in control. For once, they realized they had lost me. Forever. And then, I walked out. Not in anger, not in bitterness, just in silence. The cool night air wrapped around me as if congratulating me on finally breaking free. For the first time in years, I felt light. I felt untouchable. Because the truth is, revenge isn't always about destroying others. It's about rising so high that their betrayal can't even reach you anymore. And as I got into my car, looking back at the glowing hotel behind me, I whispered to myself, this is the beginning, not of my revenge, but of my freedom.